Hey everyone, Line Roar here, and we have the Halloween event up. So in today's video, I'm going to go through the Halloween heroes, give them grades, and that way you can decide whether you want to try to summon for some of these heroes. Now I have a neat little trick for you that you can't really do in most of the other events in Empires and Puzzles, and that is using your epic hero tokens to summon these Halloween heroes. Do you see that at the bottom? I've been saving up epic hero tokens since the summer event. So if you didn't already know, you can save those up until you get these seasonal events and then use them on this to get potentially the Halloween heroes out of it too. So I plan to do an epic hero token summon later this week. I'm gonna actually wait until November 1st when we get the new hero of the month, and that way I have a chance to get that hero as well. So if I get any more epic hero tokens between now and November 1st, I'll use them for that. So you can look forward to that video coming up. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so when I do drop that video, you get to see how I do with that. Currently, I have 21 epic hero tokens, so I'm definitely saving those up to do that summon. But let's go through all the different heroes. I'm gonna go through the old ones as well as the new ones for this event because we have several new ones. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the old ones because they're a known quantity, but I will talk about them a little bit. Let's start out with Vlad. All right, so Vlad is a rogue, which is a really good class. He is very fast, and so those are two things that are definitely in his favor right now. If you do plan to put emblems on Vlad, that's a good class. A lot of people may choose to save the emblems for 4 and 5 star heroes, though. The very fast skill is good because if you pair a level 11 mana troop with it, you essentially make it even faster. You can just drop it down to 2 regular matches. So if you make like 1 purple match and then a second purple match, you can set them off, which is really nice. Of course, that doesn't really matter in the 3 and 4 star tournaments where you don't get to use the 4 star mana troops, but hey. All right, so what is the special? You can read it there, but basically what happens is he's going to do a little bit of damage, 65 in particular, to a target opposing hero for 5 turns. He can keep targeting it to do more damage, and the clock resets on it. And he's going to steal 61% of any healing that's applied to that target for 3 turns. So basically he's doing a little damage and stealing health as well. So these Halloween heroes tend to stick around and suck the life out of opposing heroes. So I'm going to give him a grade because I haven't really talked about this hero before, but I'm going to give him a grade of a C-. Now, the reason I'm giving him a C- is because I just don't think he's aggressive enough in this day and age, even with the very fast skill. He's not doing a whole lot of damage, and his attack stat is not very high. That 368 is pretty poor for a 3-star hero. And this effect that he has, even though the mana speed is very fast, the special is actually really slow over many turns, and so that's why I don't think Vlad's particularly useful at 3-star. Although, if you don't have many purple 3-star heroes, especially ones that are faster like this, he's very fast, so he might be worth it in some situations if you have him and not many other good options. All right, let's take a look at Jack, who is also purple. Jack is a wizard, part of this Halloween family, the Morlovia family, and is fast. So he doesn't get the benefit of the level 11 mana troop, but could benefit from a level 23 mana troop. Although if you have a level 23 mana troop, you probably have 4 or 5 star heroes you'd rather use instead. But he deals 200% damage to the target. The target receives a pumpkin bomb. After 3 turns, the pumpkin bomb explodes and deals 206 damage to the target and nearby targets. The pumpkin bomb also explodes when the target is defeated. All right, so this is one of the new heroes, and I'm really high on that skill. I think that is cool. Now, it is over several turns again, so you're like waiting on it, but that's quite a lot of damage. 200% initial damage to the target is pretty good, and that's a relatively good attack stat he has there too. For a 3-star hero, that's pretty high. So he's doing a lot of damage there, and then if you can just be patient, I mean, he is a fast hero, so this is going to go off pretty quick. The 3 turns until the pumpkin bomb explodes and does 206 more damage means that he's potentially taking like more than half of opposing heroes' life. I mean, the hero who he targeted, he might even be close to just taking out on his own. So this is definitely like a fast sniper that's also doing damage to nearby targets as well. That's a pretty good skill to have here. I am gonna rate Jack as a B+ because we have to wait 3 turns for the pumpkin bomb to explode to really get the benefit of all of that. So if you can wait for it, it's worth it. The problem with waiting though in the game is that sometimes you die before you get to turn 3. And in that case, it doesn't benefit you. So sometimes being faster is better. I know his special is fast, but again, we're waiting on the special. We just don't have to wait as long as Vlad. That's why I give him a B+, because I think it's a very powerful special. You do have to wait on it. So therefore, I don't think I can give him higher than a B+, but it remains to be seen. He could end up actually being underrated in my system here, but that's just kind of how I feel about waiting on specials to occur. All right, let's go take a look at the 4 stars. So we have Valeria, who's another one of the old heroes and does a lot of what Vlad does. So I'm not going to read the special because it's basically the same thing, just with slightly higher numbers there. The thing about Valeria, by the way, she's a monk class, so that makes her a little different. But the thing that makes Valeria a little different is the stats are a little better. That attack stat is relatively better as for a 4-star than Vlad's was for a 3-star. But only by a little bit. And also the damage that's being done to opposing heroes is a little better than what Vlad does, relatively speaking, to other 4-star heroes. So I think Valeria gets a C as compared to Vlad. Vlad was a C- because of the slightly better stats. She's ranked a little bit higher. Okay, so let's take a look at the new 4-star hero, who I'm sure I'm passing. Okay, there we go. Frank. So Frank is a barbarian. Frank is slow, which is unusual for these Morlovia Halloween heroes because most of them are very fast or fast. So what he does is he deals 200% damage to all enemies. The damage is increased by 45% for each dead enemy, and all enemies get negative 44% defense for 4 turns. You know, when I first started reading the special, I saw that he was slow and saw that he only does 200% damage, and his attack stat is like mediocre for a 4-star, and I was just initially in my mind thinking, oh man, this hero is not that good. I would never use a slow 4-star hero, especially whenever it's not doing it. Like, just I think when a slow hero goes off, it needs to basically finish things. And then I got down to where it says all enemies get negative 44% defense for 4 turns. That's a lot of defense down. And in addition, the damage being increased by 45% for each dead enemy means he scales. So he hits all enemies, but the fewer enemies there are, the more he becomes a sniper. And that is a really cool scalable skill. So while I was initially going to be very down on Frank, I had to bump his grade up a bit because he definitely is a finisher. Once I read those last 2 bullet points, that's basically a finishing skill there. No matter how many heroes are left on the board, he's either going to give the whole enemy team negative 44% defense, in which case it's just going to take you a few more turns to finish them off, or they don't have a lot of heroes anyway, and he's just going to finish them off right then and there. So I think this is a pretty good hero. I do still think there are better 4-star blue heroes, but I think he's worth being graded as a B+ for our intents and purposes. All right, now let's move on to the legendary heroes, our 5-star heroes here. We have Victor. He's another old one. He follows in the same vein as Vlad and Valeria that were already around, in that he steals life or healing from the opposing heroes. He's also very fast, and he in particular, you typically get to use the level 11 mana troop with, and so before Cage Barato was around, Victor was really like the guy. So let's go through his special. So he deals 211% damage to the target. His attack stats very high, unlike Vlad and Valeria. So relatively speaking to other 5-star heroes, that 211% damage is actually going to feel like it's doing a little more than that. Definitely not sniper worthy. I would not call him a sniper, but you know, with that attack stat, he's no slouch with that 211% damage. The target receives 225 damage over 5 turns. If the target already has this effect, the duration will be refreshed and the damage will be increased by 300 up to 825 damage in total. and that's a lot of damage. That's like more than half of their life potentially. So this particular special, even though it's the same as what Valeria and Vlad had, you can see when it went from 3-star to 4-star and 4-star to 5-star, it actually kept, in relative terms, kept getting ramped up. So this is a lot more damage over the long term too. But it's still very slow, over 5 turns. That's very, very slow in this day and age. And then it also says the caster steals 61% of any healing applied to the target for 3 turns, just like the others, and all allies get plus 30% defense for 3 turns. And that's what really makes Victor good, in my opinion, especially as a defensive hero. In fact, I think Victor is probably best on defense because he goes off very fast and he protects your whole team. And while he's doing it, he's doing a lot of damage to somebody over time. It just kind of like nickels and dimes them to death, which is pretty good. Obviously, there are better purple 5-star heroes than Victor. You know, off the top of my head, I can think of like Sashat and Costume Sartana, which I would rather have, and probably Ursina, at least for defense. Well, definitely Ursina for defense. Victor may be a little better on offense. They might be tied. I don't know. But what's really nice about Victor is actually that defensive skill where he gives everybody the defense boost. And in this day and age, that seems to be a really good skill to have, especially since he's very fast. So for that reason, I rate him a B+, because I can't go up into the A range when there's clearly A heroes that are better than Victor. And yet, if you get him and you don't have a lot of good purple options, because there are plenty of purple heroes out there worse than Victor, then he's a good one to level up. All right, let's talk about Francine. Francine is a rogue. That is very good. And if you have a 5-star rogue, you are probably putting emblems on it. There's a lot of rogues out there though, so those emblems might be stretched kind of thin. Also, Francine is fast, not very fast. So you're typically going to go with 3 matches you're looking for instead of 2. That's a little bit different than what we're used to with these Morlovia heroes. But we haven't had a green one before. I mean, they were all like purple and blue before, so this feels different. Francine deals 225% damage to the target and nearby enemies. That's a good amount of damage for that super high attack stat. She cleanses status ailments from all allies at the end of each turn for 3 turns. Remember that. That's really important. And she deals extra damage against ice. So I wish it would tell us how much damage she's dealing against ice, but whatever. Let's talk about the cleansing status ailments from all allies at the end of each turn for 3 turns. Because that's a relatively new ability. You know, you start reading that and there's plenty of heroes out there that cleanse. Well, they've really needed cleansers because they created a lot of status ailment heroes that just made this game kind of miserable for a little while. So they've been trying to balance it back out by creating heroes like this. Yes, when all your allies are cleansed, that makes for a very, very good hero. But now at the end of each turn for 3 turns, that makes, if you're on the attack, that makes your team like impenetrable to status ailments. Like, you just are never going to have status ailments. Some might sneak through here and there, but status ailments usually happen over time. Like, you know, if there's a burn effect on, or the water effect or poison effect or whatever. And so like, even if a couple sneak through there, it's not a big deal because she's probably cleansing them a lot more than you're actually getting hit with them. So I think this is going to be a really important ability. Let me compare it to another ability. So Costume Rigard is a cleanser, but he heals over time. And it can be hard to understand the power of heal over time. So I'm going to describe that for a moment with Costume Rigard and then relate it to Francine. So with the heal over time, in something like a war with arrows, you know, those arrows are hitting you every few turns. You have the opposing team that's also hitting you with like regular damage and things like that. And those things add up. I'm not even talking about the specials you're getting hit with here too. This is just the regular little bits of damage, you know, that's the nickel and dime you to death kind of thing. But the heal over time means that all of that like extra little damage is not having an effect because Costume Rigard is just healing it little by little over time. Okay, so now back to Francine. This effect is a lot like the heal over time, but it's like cleansing status ailments over time. So I'm sure you've been in matches, if you play against a lot of 5-star heroes like Vela or Gravemaker or Drake, or, you know, whomever. If you're in the mid tier and you're facing like even season 1 heroes like Horg Hall, or, you know, I don't know, there's like Finley out there too, and, you know, there's a lot of 4-star heroes that will give status ailments, right? And there's so many of them now that they're just constantly hitting you. You know, I could be facing off against a defense, you know, where Teleria goes off one turn, and then the next turn Vela goes off, and then the turn after that Gravemaker goes off, and it's like I can't have enough cleanse. So this hero is actually like having 3 cleansers on your team, because in that situation, Francine just totally undoes what that defense does. This is going to make Francine a very, very good hero on the attack. And as a toolbox hero, you know, you don't necessarily want too much of Francine, like you wouldn't take like 2 of these in one attack team. You would basically take her and then 2 really aggressive heroes like snipers or something like that, that would do a lot more damage. Because Francine's going to protect your team while you use the other heroes to kill the opposing heroes. So for that reason, I'm really excited about Francine, and I'm going to give her an A. This is an important hero for the meta. If you get her, you're really lucky. I hope to get her. I'm going to cross my fingers. We'll see what happens later this week. All right, now let's check out the next hero, Vonda. I'm going to open up the card here. We have a red 5-star hero. This is also new for this Morlovia event. Sorcerer class, and also very fast, in keeping with the theme of most of the Morlovia heroes. So a level 11 mana troop will make her go off after only 2 matches of red. She deals 125% damage to all enemies. The caster steals 61% of any healing applied to all enemies for 2 turns, so that's in keeping with the health steal tradition, the healing steal. And then lastly, all allies are immune to new status ailments for 2 turns. So looking at the special, it feels a lot like Grizzul, because this is exactly what Grizzul does. It even is for the same amount of turns. The thing is that makes Vonda different from Grizzul is that she's aggressive and deals 125% damage to all enemies. Also, one of my complaints with Grizzul is that she's barely a healer. Like, I don't feel like she heals at all. I know she heals a little bit, but it really just doesn't feel like anything at all. And so what's nice about this particular hero, Vonda, I mean, she's only going to steal a little bit of healing too, but what's cool is it almost counts as double when it does happen, because it's stealing it from your opponent. So you're healing yourself and not allowing the opposing team to have it too. So I don't think this necessarily makes Vonda like a healer per se, but when you consider that you're healing and the opposing team is not, like you're taking that from them, I think that does give her an edge over Grizzul, not to mention the direct damage that's being done. So for that reason, if I were to give Grizzul a B, which I think Grizzul probably is a B. In fact, I probably would have rated Grizzul like a C or a C+ back in the day, because the healing was just so weak. But ever since all the status ailment heroes have come about, she's risen in my book to a B. I would have to say Vonda is an A-, because Vonda's doing what Grizzul should be doing a lot better. I don't think that Vonda is an A, because I just still feel like the healing's not quite enough, and I don't feel like she's quite aggressive enough, but she has all the components to make her a very good hero in the meta where you have a lot of status ailments. So if you get her, I also think she is probably really worth leveling up in this particular meta. Okay, so there you go. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my grades? Do you disagree with my grades? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so when I go to do the Halloween summons, you make sure to catch that too.